the market's pumping. Ethereum just had some big news. Vitalik said that he does not think that the merge is priced in. We're going to cover all this, cover why the market's up right now, what you can expect from CPI data tomorrow, and some big news coming up here this week. So let's take a look at the market. Bitcoin's up at 22,400. Ethereum's up at 17,500. Or 1,750. We have a lot of other cryptocurrencies pumping as well. Just a few days ago, I talked about how Solana seemed like it had been selling off or just been not really pumping in accordance to the other cryptos. And now it's up 9% on the last 24 hours, one of the biggest movers out there. And I recently talked in a video, it was actually just 2 days ago, about trades I'm making before CPI. I talked about how I was longing Solana. This was right under $35. I sold out around 38. On Bitcoin, I sold out just a little while ago at 22,400, just around there after buying in at 21.4. So I was actually able to get some good profits, 45% over here on Sol. And then when I pull up the Bitcoin long, I actually made a lot more than that. If you look down here, I was able to get about an 86% profit. Now, if you guys want to long and short, you can check out the link underneath the video to BitGet. I would be careful about that if you're not an experienced trader or if you're investing too much money. It can be very dangerous. I am not a huge trader, but I want to sharpen my skills a bit, and it was a small enough amount of money that I was interested in it. So definitely check out that link underneath the video. They're the best place to start, and you can get up to $4,000 worth of bonuses. Now, the big thing this week is inflation. Inflation comes tomorrow. There's also the Ethereum merge that we'll talk about in a bit, but inflation is really what you have to watch for tomorrow. CPI is expected to be about 8.1% versus prior year in August. Last month, we saw 8.5%. So obviously, if we come in above, that's going to be negative. If we come in at, it's going to be probably expected. It's probably going to nothing too drastic is going to happen with the market. If we come in below, that's going to be really positive, obviously, for the market. Now, the US dollar is also falling right now, which is positive for the US markets. You can see that the stock market's actually up a good amount today, too, 1.2% on some of the DXY weakness. So that is something that we've been tracking a lot on the channel just because so many people are watching this. So many people are looking at the treasuries. And obviously, if the DXY falls, that's great for stocks and crypto. It turns more risk on. And if we see that good CPI data tomorrow and DXY falls, I would expect a big rally day. Now, personally, I'm very heavily invested in a couple stocks such as Tesla and Amazon and Google, and they're all having great days today as well. If you want to start investing in those kinds of stocks, there's a link to moomoo, one of the best trading platforms out there that will give you 10 free stocks. Now, I bring that up because a lot of people make $20, $30, $40 an hour, and you can get up to $2,000. So when you think about how many hours you'd have to work to make that amount of money and how easy it is to set up this account and deposit $100, that's why I bring it up. Also, you have a minimum amount that you can make as well, which is about $30, I believe, depending on obviously your chances and what happens. But I think that that would be a great way to earn some extra money. So sign up with that moomoo link underneath the video as well. Now, let's move on to what big investors are doing, because obviously we have the Ethereum merge. Ethereum, even the countdown for the Ethereum merge was added to Google if you type in Ethereum merge. So 2 days, 18 hours. It's a very, very exciting time getting ready for this. Now, with that in mind, investors are still selling. Like these big investors, I don't know why this is so grainy, but CoinShares just gave out their institutional investor report, and they're selling this week. They saw outflows totaling 63 million, most of which coming out of Ethereum. Pretty interesting. A little bit of money going into Solana, some going into short Bitcoin, some money flowing out of Bitcoin. So obviously, the large investors are selling the news or selling the event, however you want to phrase it, selling the fact that Ethereum is going through with this merge. This is to be expected. I mean, Ethereum is still doing well overall. This $60 million is not the majority of money that's flowing into Ethereum. You can see over the last week, we actually were up 10.1%. Now, it's shown really good strength versus Bitcoin recently. The pairing is Ethereum has done quite well, but this shows a little bit of where institutional investors' heads are at, that they're trying to decrease risk a little bit. Now, this is still just a small amount when you consider the total AUM. which is, 100 times that. So this is just some institutional investors selling a bit. But when we look at the weekly inflows and outflows, this is pretty substantial, right? A lot of people just decreasing the risk. They've seen a great return over the last couple months from Ethereum. So just know that is something that could happen where institutional investors or normal investors sell a little bit closer to the event. Now, that's why I'm decreasing my risk. That's why I was talking about why I was selling off some positions. I saw a handful of different indicators and I was looking at the technicals, and it looked like a really strong entry price for Solana and Bitcoin when I bought these trades or when I started these trades. But just leading up to the merge and CPI, I just want to decrease the risk a bit. So if you are in any trades, I would suggest probably having a stop loss. I have a stop loss on my last trade here. And then I also have a take profit level as well. So just keep that in mind. For the most part, just know I am a buy and hold investor, but I do like doing these low trades and just trying to sharpen my skills a bit leading up to big events like this. Now, we recently just finished the last shadow fork on Ethereum, so we are all set. Like I said, the counter's on. We have finished really everything until the merge. Now, Vitalik doesn't think that the merge is priced in. He said this at the end of July. This was on a Bankless interview, and this was when Ethereum was about 1,500 to 1,600. So we have come up a bit, but Vitalik himself does not think that this is priced in, and the only way to get this priced in is to actually go through with the merge. Now, take with that what he will. He obviously is close to Ethereum. He is really the leading driver behind Ethereum and development on Ethereum. So just keep that in mind that he might be a little bit biased, but I think he also has a good insight into how markets work, and he's probably one of the smartest people in the world. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens. In my opinion, if I had to guess, anyone could be right on this, or I could be very wrong on this, but I would assume that we pump up, especially if CPI is okay, we pump up to the merge, and then we have a lot of volatility around the merge. And then my thought is we probably will sell off. Even if things go smoothly, I would assume that we would sell off a bit. Again, this is if you're just asking me my honest opinion. I think we will sell off a bit, but this is going to be really good for Ethereum long term in terms of ESG, but mostly in terms of making it so more people want to buy Ethereum because it is a scarcer asset. It will be able to scale up much better, and you can also stake. And this will be a good alternative to bonds, in my opinion, for a lot of bigger investors. So I think this is going to be great for Ethereum to get done with this, but I wouldn't be so sure that it's necessarily just going to pump like crazy right when the merge happens. I could always be wrong, right? We've had a couple really good days in the market, but I am not going out there trying to buy a bunch of Ethereum right before this merge happens. Now, I am happy to buy Ethereum if we fall down afterwards, but at this point, I don't feel like I need to layer in a lot of Ethereum, but I could always be wrong. Always do your own research. Plan B just came out and said that he thinks stock to flow is still valid. He says, in his opinion, Bitcoin price is not more or less off than in 2011, 2013, 2017, and he still thinks that stock to flow is valid, and he expects a bounce back above the stock to flow model value before the 2024 halving. So let's take a look at when that is. If you look here, that would be right up here, about $90,000 to $95,000. He expects us to get up to $100,000 before the halving. So that would be nearly a 4.5x over the coming year and a couple months. I would find that to be really positive, obviously. I would love that, but I'm not so sure that happens. I mean, we've seen that somewhat in the past where we fell down to the depths and then we pumped up pretty well before a halving. We can see it back here as well, where we fell down and then we came back up a decent amount, but I would not expect us to break all-time highs before the halving. I could always be wrong, though. If everything macro turns much better, I think we could get a lot of that excitement, and people will buy earlier this cycle than they ever have. I think people will be trying to time it and be a little bit more conservative, maybe buying 6 months before the merge or 9 months before the merge and trying to just make sure that they get in at a decent price. But you can see that we seem oversold compared to usual with where we are now in this cycle. Now, I could always be wrong on this too. I've said that a lot in this video just because we are talking about some pretty different circumstances. We're talking about some people saying that we're going to fall down to 10,000 over the coming months. And some people saying, yeah, a year and 3 months from now, though, we might be at 100,000. So there's a very wide range of different outcomes here that we're talking about. Also, I did not cover this over the last few days, but MicroStrategy filed to sell up to 500 million of stock to fund more Bitcoin purchases. Now, it's not all going to necessarily be used for Bitcoin, but it seems like they're going to continue to buy. I think this is some of the excitement behind this weekend as well, not just CPI and that kind of thing, but also the fact that we might get a $500 million buy. A lot of the time, they don't buy on spot, though, so it's not necessarily going to push the markets a lot, if I remember correctly. And $500 million is a lot, but this is not one of their biggest buys, and this is just continuing what they have already said they're going to do, which is continue to buy Bitcoin. So I think this is going to help the company. Just remember too, though, if you're thinking about, oh, should I buy MicroStrategy because they're going to buy more Bitcoin, they're also going to have to sell stock. So they're going to become more diluted, and then they're going to buy more Bitcoin. So that's just something to consider as well. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Check out those links underneath the video to BitGet and also to moomoo. Both I think are great, and I would highly suggest trying them out and using them. If you're a trader or if you just want to start investing in the stock market, you can get a ton of bonuses by using those, and think about how many hours that would save you at work with that money, and think about investing that money over the coming years. It could be a great opportunity to make some extra money. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.